on this glorious weekend, I've decided to torture myself. What I mean by that is that I'm going to tackle a project that I've been meaning to do for basically the entire year. I've been wanting to show off and build a one-stand video content YouTube kind of setup that I've seen so many other YouTubers make, and I thought, why not? I have all the stuff. Why can't I do my own? So I have already made one throughout the year. I've adapted it, I've adjusted it. So this is usually what I use for my talking heads and sometimes other content as well. But I haven't been making a lot of videos and I know I could make this better. So what I'm gonna do is to take it all apart and hopefully I'll be able to make it a little more efficient so it's easier for me to turn on and off. Right now I'm filming on my main camera. It is the A7 IV. Right now I have my A7 III here as a spot holder while I film this. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to add is probably one of the most important is how you attach the camera to the C stand. Now I'm going to be using a Joby 5K, I don't think you can see this, there it is, a Joby 5K ball head. I love them. I have a bunch of them. I find that they're super great and they're compatible with a lot of different Arca Swiss plates, which I've never had a problem connecting to. So I've been really happy using these. I'm also attaching it to a Manfrotto, I think it's a 244 friction arm, and there is also a Manfrotto Superclamp here. Now, you don't have to use Manfrotto, you don't have to use this large heavy-duty clamp whatsoever, but I am just, again, because I don't want a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 worth of equipment to fall to the ground because I cheaped out and got a inexpensive, not sturdy camera arm or an attachment to make sure my camera's on the rig. So there it is. The good thing with a friction arm is that I can adjust. I can adjust basically how low it is, how high it is, maybe if it's left or right, but I can adjust it if I'm ever changing, let's say, a lens, or I'm changing anything with my camera or my setup. I have something and I feel confident that it's going to be secure and I can make micro adjustments with the friction arm. I'm gonna put the camera onto the stand so then I can have a feel for where everything is. And if I need to adjust it, again, micro adjustments, always great. So for this setup, I am using the Rode NTG or the Video NTG. It's a great USB 3.5 millimeter microphone, super great quality. But I'm not gonna have it stuck onto the camera's hot shoe. One, because if I'm moving around, I want to be able to maneuver it. So again, using another magic arm. This one is from SmallRig. There's a couple of, there is a super clamp, or at least their version of a super clamp on it, a little ball head that I have laying around, and a cold shoe adapter, so then I can adjust it accordingly. Now, the reason why I have another part that has its own independent articulation is because when you're unlocking or locking the friction arms, it also locks the balls on each end, which can cause some issues if you really don't want to maneuver or you don't want to adjust the arm, but you do want to adjust the last ball. So instead of doing that, I added another ball head. All right, so it's on. So I have this long cable. This long cable is, I believe, I don't know, I'll put the name somewhere. It's Rode's extension for their mic cable. Now the reason I have it is because I wanted to make sure that when I'm plugging it into the camera, I can have it boom over myself. I can position it wherever I want and I don't have to worry about the cable length. The cable on the microphone that it comes with is pretty short. It's about, let's say, 10 inches maybe, which might not be enough, especially if I'm booming this somewhere else or if I want to boom it really far away. So I bought again, the cable, wherever I'll put it somewhere. It's a much longer and I'm able to boom as far as I want because there's plenty of space. So we have the camera and we have the microphone. And before we move on to the next step, which is going to be the light, I want to make sure that I'm using a pretty heavy sandbag to ensure this doesn't fall over. So I'm using the Amaran 200X. I went with the X because I wanted to be able to change the temperature. A lot of times people say set it to daylight, set it to 5600 Kelvin. That's daylight. I find actually personally that's a little bit too cool for me. I actually use 5000 Kelvin just because I like that little extra warmth in it. And so now I have the X version, I'm able to do that and change that color temperature. So the Amaran 200X is overkill. You do not need 200 watts of power unless you want to shoot in super dark situations and you're really far away from the camera. You don't need this. And because you're so close to the camera, you don't need this much. You can get away with a light like the 60X or the 60D from Amaran. It is plenty powerful. I've compared the 60 to, I believe, the 200, and really it's perfectly fine. I just don't like how the 60 sounds. I find the 60D or the 60X, sorry, is very loud for the size. I prefer the 200 just because I have the power to go higher if I want. Why not? Because I have it. I want some shadow on my face, so I'm probably gonna keep this more Rembrandt style and keep that at about a 45-degree angle from me, but keep it really close to make sure that it really looks soft. In addition to the light, you need to modify it. So right now I'm using an older Octabox. It's from Godox. I can't remember when I bought this, probably when I first got into photography. But yeah, it's fine. Right now I have it double diffused and I have a grid on it to make sure that when I turn the light on, it's not blasting the background and really changing the look that I'm looking for. Something else that I like to do is to power my camera with a dummy battery. This one is from Kimaru. I have been using the Kimaru for basically the entire pandemic. When I need to use my camera for longer, I have been using this one, another one at my desk, and I have a spare one I use for, or I'm planning to use for a top-down setup. But I found they have been reliable. They have not fried my camera as some, questionable power supplies out there. I've found this one works well. I've tested it myself with a multimeter. It is giving the proper voltage when plugged in. So this is what I've been using. So you can stop here. You have a camera, you have a microphone, you have a light. You can stop here, that's enough. But I find that there are certain things that you can add onto it which can help. And one of those things is a monitor. Now I don't have a monitor per se, but I do have the Monitor Plus app on my cell phone. And so I've been able to attach through USB-C my cell phone to the camera in order to see a clear picture rather than relying on a tiny little flip out screen on the side. It makes it a lot easier to view, change my settings without having to go behind the camera. I'm doing that by adding another friction arm, a cell phone clamp, and that's about it. Another thing to consider before you get too far is to ensure that you have a power bar or a surge protector with a long cord, because if you want to roll this around, you want to move it somewhere else, you don't want to be tethered, you want to be anchored to the outlet. So plugging in everything to this will make your life easier, and then you can be a lot more mobile with your setup. Something else I'll add is a USB-C cable. So I have a USB-A to USB-C cable. It's just a simple cable that I probably got from IKEA, and I'm using it to charge my phone. Because you're using it as a monitor, you're going to be using a lot of battery power. So sometimes when in between takes, I don't want to have to take the phone out. I can charge it, and the power bar that I use, or the surge protector that I use, does have a USB port, so I'm able to plug and charge my phone whenever I need to. So yeah, this is a whole lot simpler than I had it before. I have spare clamps and holders and all sorts of things that I had on before, but I don't need that anymore. So I'm very happy with that. What I'm gonna do is tidy up some cables, get the lighting how I like it, and I'll switch cameras, and then we'll get to see. And I'm back. So this is what I like to look like when I'm shooting videos. I'm well lit, background's a little bit darker, I can see myself, super, super easy to hear me. One thing I want to mention, if you're looking to shoot vertical video, you can use one of these. They're a rotator mount thingamajigger. They slide to make sure that your camera can turn at about 90 degrees and shoot vertical instead of horizontal. I don't have it on because I haven't been shooting a lot of vertical with my camera. I've been really using my cell phone recently, but I'll probably put it back on and add it to the setup, so then I can easily switch from horizontal to vertical for my needs. Hopefully this has helped, giving you some ideas on what you can do, what you can make at home with the things that you have. Thanks, guys. Test, test, test. Oh gosh. And I was not recording. Phenomenal. Who doesn't love that? Okay. So